No. Feminism is not the reason you have to work instead of staying at home with your kids' face with rolling eyes. I am so tired of this talking point. Historically, only a small fraction of women, the white wealthy, ever got to easily opt out of the labor market to exclusively focus on childrearing and homemaking. It is a blip in history. Women have always been stuck doing all types of skilled labor, usually without any compensation. What actually happened throughout history was that married women took up the second shift because before the Industrial Revolution most people worked from home at family-run businesses. Women's careers were usually working as assistants in their husband's profession, it's just that they never got credit or wages for their work. This is all assuming your family was not enslaved or serfs. A farmer's wife was expected to milk the cows, go to market to sell eggs, harvest the fields. An innkeeper's wife was expected to change and wash linens, collect payment, and keep the books. A winemaker's wife stomped on grapes, bottled product, get the idea. All of that on top of all the repetitive domestic tasks: cooking, cleaning, elder care, and birthing, nursing, and raising the children who, as soon as they were 5-6, would need to start helping out too. Zero leisure time. Plus, having a husband you can't legally divorce is basically having a boss who controls all your income. He has full control over your working conditions. And you're not allowed to unionize or quit if he's inept or abusive. He can run the family business into the ground, leaving your family destitute. And you'd have no recourse. This shit is not new. And it is so exasperating seeing this myth that feminism is the reason women have to work now. Repeated over and over and over. Feminism is why we have to work. LOL. Signed, a black woman. Abigail Adams is a great example. Her husband was away for years at a time. And she managed everything, including his correspondences. He would have been lost without her. Women have always worked. We've just somewhat recently won the right to be paid for the work. I blame trickle-down economics for that. My dad supported us on one income in the mid to late 70s. The Reagan years made it necessary for my mom to get a job. Very much this. I also hate it when it's put as feminists fighting for the right to work. It's such a classist point of view. Also, don't forget spinning and weaving. I recently read a great book, Fabric, by Victoria Finlay, about the history of textiles. A lot of women's work, and men's in many configurations too, was producing textiles which were then sold. It's like they think nursing and teaching were both invented in the 1970s. Bank tellers have traditionally been women. Telephone operators, corporate secretaries, waitresses, flight attendants, hotel maids. Women have always been a part of the workforce. Even pre-industrial revolution. Yeah, women were home with the kids. But so were men. Because you lived on your farm, or above your workshop, or out back of your bakehouse, etc. Everyone's work was at home. The idea of work outside of the home and home not contributing to the household is incredibly new. This take also ignores the working class women who have always had to work. The Triangle Shirtwaist fire victims were mostly single immigrant women. Women also had paid jobs a lot of the time. Idea that women were even only doing unpaid labor is insane. During the Industrial Revolution, many women were working brutal 12-hour shifts, and if your hand got chopped off, you just fucking died. Or you'd be forced to lick radium for 12 hours a day, and when it turned your bones into dust, the company would say they had no idea. Ask them who the household servants were in those times. Was it all men? Feminism isn't the reason you go to work, but it is the reason you can deposit your own money into your own account. Lol, I saw a dumb lady yesterday posting about how she wants to go back to the 18th century so she can bake bread and cake all day, raise kids and create a veggie garden. Honey, that's not how life was like back then. Tears of joy, tears of joy, tears of joy. For real. There isn't some grand conspiracy to make everyone work against their will. Feminism is about having choices. Emily Roebling built a goddamn bridge for her husband's CUS. He got sick. And it's the Brooklyn Bridge. Of course it's the feminists and not the fact that being a stay-at-home mother means your family can survive on one salary, and that's less and less common with wages not increasing with inflation for 30 damn years. If you have the means and choose to stay at home, then great. Raising kids is hard work. But many don't have that luxury, and it ain't because of feminism. No. Feminism is why we have designated hours, and our own wages, and our own bank accounts, and the right to leave, and no-fault divorce, and university educations, and I hate women like this. Serena Joy's the lot of them. My mom always worked. Both grandmas. All 4 great-grandmas. And prior to that 1800s, yes, they worked the farm, did the books, ran the home entirely while husband was at sea for years. Staying home was always only for the wealthy. Excellent post-op. And even for the tiny proportion of middle and upper-class women who didn't need to work. It wasn't their own choice because it was considered improper and a poor reflection on her husband. If she did work, better than living in poverty. But hardly a situation that prioritized women regardless of class. Men use feminism to justify their complaining about how great it used to be. Sorry, but I for one am not going back to being property that a man can force himself on whenever he wants. It's capitalism that most women who want to be stay-at-home moms are instead made to work. Feminism fought for our ability to be allowed value outside of the home. To have a career if we choose. To structure our families how we want instead of based on traditional gender roles. The fact that most people, not just women, can barely get by on a single income household anymore is because of capitalism and is only a new problem for upper-most class white folks who were sold an idea of what capitalism should be doing for them that was never really presented to anyone else. Feminism can be finding someone who respects you enough to commit to letting you be a fairly compensated domestic laborer if that is what you wish. I would not recommend it. Because people like that are hard to come by. But if you find an arrangement that works for you, go for it. Men are fairly compensated for be domestic laborers if they wish. Another lie by the patriarchy. Yeah. Tell those people to feed and take care of you and your kids when your husband leave you or lose his jobs, fall sick or dies. Those people advocating this will not come to help you out in such event. The main reason I haven't kilometer dollar is that my family will blame feminism. It's ironic because the real reason I want to D13 is because of my family's conservative views. There is an excellent episode of the podcast Struggle Care on the care tasks women and women of color have historically owned. I'd rather have my own money and be able to leave an abusive partner when I want. If I had gold, I'd give it to you.